What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the Creative Hunter podcast. Thanks for hopping on and listening to this episode today. This episode is with Josh HUBBS. Josh has been on the podcast before. It was last summer, one of the first few episodes. Really cool dude. So Josh just got back from a hunt in New Zealand, and I wanted to pick his brain about it. So that's what the majority of this podcast is about, is his trip to New Zealand. And super cool. It's like a dream hunt of mine. That's why I wanted to chat with him. Josh, we talk about kind of some of his goals. He's an awesome photographer, videographer. He works for a few really cool companies. And so we kind of talk about some of the stuff he's working with right now too. So I hope you guys are excited for this one. Josh HUBBS, let's get right into it right now. Here you go. What's up, dude?
Not much. What are you up to?
Not much. Just got out of class.
How's class?
Good. Yeah, it wasn't bad. Pretty chill this week. I had 3 classes a day, so I had a social media class, and then I had a science class, and then a range management. So it's like managing rangeland and grassland for like wildlife and domestic cattle and stuff.
My sister does for a career right now with the Forest Service.
Oh, really? Nice. Yeah. That's sick. It's cool. It's just like an extra class for me because I needed some extra credits.
Yeah.
But it's kind of fun. So.
Hell yeah, dude! You can't beat that. If you're just having fun. How many more classes you got till you're done?
So this semester of classes will end beginning of April, and then I'll have like 3 more months, and then I'm done. So I'll have like 4 classes. So,
dude, are you excited to be done?
I'm so excited, dude. It's gonna be so nice.
It's awesome.
Yeah. What are you up to?
Today it's one of my off days, so just chilling. I took some photos for Sever. I did a video for Sever on shot placement on turkeys, and then it was the quickest video ever. I literally got out of bed. They're like, "Hey, can you send this video in an hour?" And I was like, shoot. Got out of bed, threw a shirt on. Dude, I straight up, I'm not even lying. You won't be able to tell in the video, but I was in boxers taking a video in my garage. Just from the waist up. I was like, so here's awesome. The turkey and here's the shot placement. It's like, right on. But,
that's funny, dude.
Yeah, dude. No, the photos turned out, this is the kind of photo style we were doing today. It's just like, simple lay photos.
Nice. Yeah, those are sick. You're pretty freaking good at that stuff, dude.
Nah, dude, I had to call AJ Night of the Apex because he was a beast at it.
Nice. Yeah. What have you been doing any other types of photos similar to that for any other brands, or just kind of with Sever? Or was that separate?
Yeah, it's just like, so Sever, I just started working with them, like pretty much like just exclusively them as a broadhead company. And then I have companies that I shoot with and I shoot for, but not necessarily like am I fully sponsored by or in partnership.
Right, for sure. Nice. Is it Casey with Sever that is he the guy that you're like, yeah, nice. Yeah, me too. He's a good dude.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, dude, I'm already recording. Let's just hop into it, and I want to talk about your New Zealand trip a lot, and just kind of like, yeah. I mean, I remember it was like last year you were planning on going, right? Or tell me how that came about.
Yeah, so Blackstone Outfitters, you guys can find them on Instagram, and it's just Blackstone Outfitters New Zealand. But he did a giveaway, and he's like, hey, it's just like, share, follow, and then, tag your buddies below, and mini entries for every tag that you do. And so I just went through and tagged some buddies, didn't think anything of it, kind of put it on the back burner. And then next thing you know, I'm getting a FaceTime video call from Blackstone Outfitters, and I was like, this is fake, So I went in and looked at his profile and found the hunt winner from the year before, and I DM'd him. I was like, hey, is this legit? And he's like, yeah. And from there, I picked up the phone, and he's like, hey, so we've got a hunt for you. We're going to go after red stag, free range red stag, and basically as many sheep and pig as you want to go after. So what do you say? I was like, dude, I'm all in. Like, this was a bucket list hunt of mine, and I was super excited just to be able to have the opportunity. And I figured it'd be a great opportunity to also get the companies I work with on board to go out there. It's content that you don't get every day, but it's always on somebody's bucket list. So one of those things that everybody likes to see. And they're always like, man, I can't wait to do that. I mean, heck, you're up next on the list to go out there is what I hear.
Hopefully, we'll see. There's talk about it, but I don't know if it's gonna work out this year or next year. But I want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, you'll love it. It's so beautiful there.
Yeah. I'm excited. So you were guided the whole time or part of the time, or how was that?
Yeah, so Corey was our guide, and the
Nice.
whole time we were out there. So basically, how it works is in New Zealand, everybody sees these giant red stag, right? I mean, you see stag that
Right.
range from 330 to 1,000, and I think 1,001's like the new biggest
Whoa.
stag, right? So you get all these
Crazy.
massive stags. Those are all estate stags, and basically what
Yeah.
that is they're
They're high fence.
yeah, they're high fence. They're not genetically modified, but they're just bred a specific way so that they breed that way.
Yeah.
And there's only a set number in the fence. Now, there is quote unquote, which a lot of these big companies like to do, free range stag hunts, which is just they have their estate stags and a stag gets out of the high fence and now is just like running around the perimeter trying to get back
Mm.
in. So you have that, right? And then you have what we did, which is just free range hunting. This is why we needed a guide for the whole thing. He has access there via knowledge from living there. And there's ranchers out there that are like, dude, these stags are destroying my fields, my crops, these goats, these pigs, like if you got a hunter, come out here and get rid of them. So basically what we did was going with him. He guides us onto the properties and then he knows the lay of the land, gets us out there, shows us around, and then we get to hunt free range stag there's no fences, no nothing keeping them there. I mean, if a helicopter flies over, these things take off running. It's crazy to see like how spooked these critters are. And I mean, they're hunted 24/7 all year long because there is no limit on stag down there. I mean, people just shoot them sometimes just to shoot them and cull them out. But
Right.
yeah, want to make that part clear that like the free range hunting that we did was free range stag. This isn't just an estate hunt where there was some stags running around in there or an escaped stag that was just trying to get back in the fence. This was thousands, hundreds of thousands of acres of public land and then onto some private property that we had access to, but anything could come and go as it pleased.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you shot a goat too, right? Or what? Like, yeah. What else did you shoot down there?
Yeah, so we were chasing goats and pigs while we were down there.
Okay.
So this might be hard for some people to hear, but cats, yeah, just regular house cats, basically. They're the apex predator there. So
Mm-hmm.
cats, and they're invasive. So those were on the list. We did get some cats while we were out there. And for us, it'd be the same as shooting raccoons or something else here in the States. But
Yep. It's management. Yeah.
yep, management and getting rid of an invasive species because a lot of the birds there are flightless, or there are other birds that migrate there, and the cats just put a hurting on them pretty good.
Yeah.
But so we chase cats, we chase goats, and we chase pigs. The pigs we didn't get to go after and kill them per se because we were pretty busy on the stag hunt. But the goats, man, there were so many goats, it wasn't fun. It was
Yeah.
that you could go out there and shoot goats probably for 2 weeks and still not have enough.
That's crazy. That's not like a common one. I've seen people go to New Zealand and shoot goats. Like that's not really like on like the top list of things to go to New Zealand for, but
Yeah.
it seems pretty cool.
So here's something too, and for anybody listening who's going to go out to New Zealand and even yourself, if you think about this, when you book an estate hunt, right? It's a high fence place. Everything in there has a price tag on it because if you kill it, they got to bring another one in, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you do the free range hunting, you might look at it and be like, wow, some of these guides are charging, I don't know, I think it's like 30,000 or something for a free range hunt, right? And you're like, man, this is just for an opportunity to go hunt something. Well, when you're out there on a free range hunt, goats, pigs, cats, possums, like all these other critters that are out there that are just a nuisance and invasive, those don't have a price tag on them. So you can run around and shoot those all day long. And yeah, I mean, you have the opportunity to get a stag. If you don't, you can still have fun by chasing goats and pigs. And I mean, that's what we did to pass time. If we weren't seeing stags, it's like, all right, let's go find some pigs or let's go find some goats.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you see any fallow deer on the ranch?
Oh, dude. Yes. There's,
Really?
yeah. So he's got a free range block of fallow that he hunts. And dude, the fallow deer are crazy. So we've seen black fallow deer, The
Oh
regular
wow.
ones, like the reddish with the white spots, and then we've seen some white fallow deer while we were out there. All the white ones we've seen were all, I think they call them hinds still, but they were just does, they weren't bucks or anything like
Gotcha.
that.
Yeah.
We did see, I'll have to send you a photo here in a second of two nice bucks. There's a black one and then the regular colored, the white with the white spots with the brown body. We had two of them standing. One was in velvet still and one was rubbed out, and it just looked freaking awesome, man.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Dang.
shed hunting up there is pretty sweet too. We did a little bit of it, not as much as we wanted to, because again, we're 5 days. Honestly, is not enough. If you're gonna go, you need to book for longer. But
Yeah.
there's a ton of sheds. He Corey, our guide, was talking about. You just ride around and you pick up all these fallow deer sheds out there, and he's got totes of them.
That's crazy. Yeah, that makes sense. There's a lot of animals like that. There's got to be a lot of sheds.
Yeah.
Is did you? I mean, you might not have seen it very much, but did you find that like is there a lot of locals there that like to hunt, or is it pretty like is it not like as popular for locals down there? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So in New Zealand, there's these. I mean, it's kind of like Airbnbs, but not really. It's like Airbnbs in the mountains. They have
Yeah,
cabins that are
right.
built up there, and you can just go and visit them. So, in the cabin that we stayed at on one of these chunks of land that we were hunting, in there reading the log, there was like people that said, "Oh, it was a great 3 days up here. Shot 70 goats, like 70 goats in 3 days." I'm like, "Holy crap!" Or, "Hey, the helicopter came by. We killed 150 stag," and I'm like, "Dang!" So I didn't get
Wow.
to see a lot of people hunting when I was down there. It was pretty hot, summertime down there right now, and the roar hadn't started yet. But
Gotcha.
reading through the log of the book, like, yeah, man, these guys go out there and have fun. And on one of the places we were hunting, there's a fence. There's like private property and then public land. And on the public land side, um, this might be hard for some people here in the States, but like some of the things when they're culling, they're culling them. There's so many they don't have time to go back and pick them all up. I mean, you'll see where helicopters come by, and then there you go. They went through and they culled a whole bunch of goats out, and now there's goats there. So you can see that people who live there hunt, and they're in a extremely target rich environment. I'm pretty jealous, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. That's interesting. It's just a very different place than it is here. The
Yeah.
resources and stuff. Did you hunt any public land, or were you pretty much on the land that you guys had access to most of the time?
So most of the time we were hunting public land, but a lot of the time, so we had a giant chunk of private property, a ranch that we could hunt on. And then
Yeah.
there was some other ranches and then some public land. And then at the far side, there was another estate that had started down there. And what happened is we tried to stay on the ranch itself, just because everything was getting pressured off. As they're
Mm-hmm.
coming out of velvet, they were getting hunted a little harder, and some of those ones in velvet, even there's a price on velvet right now. So some of them were
Mm.
getting shot in velvet just because they can cut those off and they sell them. So the reason we stayed where we were is it was just a nice pocket in between everything that was
Yeah.
like a
That makes
transition
sense.
point. Like everything was coming off and on, or they were going off the part we were on onto another part.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
And you guys you weren't in like big mountains with like tar and chamois, were you?
There was tar down there, no
Oh
chamois,
really?
but so we weren't in like the crazy like Southern Alps. We went down
Yeah.
there later and kind of did some fishing, but where we
Oh
were
nice.
hunting was like the lower foothills of it. We still had those big rock cliffs in there and a mix of just big rolling grass hills. Uh, but I would say the majority of what we hunted was, yeah, it was the lower foothills, and we saw I think two or three tar while we were down there in some of the big rock cliffs and stuff. And dude, there I was like, we were glassing, and I was like, man, that's not a goat, but it's not a deer. Like I never seen a tar before. I'm like, there's just this big, it's like hairy thing over there. And he's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's a tar. I was like, oh, this is so cool.
That's wild, dude. That's way cool.
Yeah.
Cool, dude. That's awesome. Kind of my biggest question that I've always wanted to ask someone who's been down there, because I haven't really talked to a ton of people that have done it. But like, could could I or you go down there and just strictly hunt public land and get it done, kill stuff?
Absolutely, yes. The only hard part would be getting your firearm down there because
Oh
there's a lot
yeah.
of gun laws there, ammo is restricted. Your gun's going to be pretty much, I mean, if you're going to start a process, you're going to want to start it 6 months before, and more than likely you're going to have to find somebody there who has ammo or get ammo there, just because of the laws. But if you go in with archery equipment, I think a helicopter flight, I want to say is $2,000. Don't quote me on that, but I want to say it's about $2,000. You could fly in somewhere, have them drop you off. You could camp out on public land. You could hunt for as long as you wanted to, and then get flown back out.
Yeah, that's wild.
So it is so doable.
Epic.
It's just you're gonna have to plan it all out.
Right. Do you think it'd be harder to like plan everything, or is the hunting gonna be hard? Like is there enough animals on public land that it's worth it to go out there and you'll find stuff?
I would say once you start hitting the public land, you're gonna be in for a hunt, and I would say it just depends on the season when you're down there and what's going on. But
sure,
it's going to provide its own challenges. Obviously, everything does, but it's not impossible. It's definitely doable, and I think it's more doable than like our public land hunting out here. I would treat it honestly like hunting some of these like you got the public land that comes down in like Montana and Wyoming and all that, and all the deer are coming down into the irrigation fields, right? They're hitting those pivots, and then they come back off. I would hunt it exactly like that if I was going to go down there, because they come down, they hit those irrigation fields, and they go back up into those cuts. They bed down for the day, and they come right back out. It was identical to what you do with mule deer and elk, like same exact patterns, coming in, coming out, and that's how I would hunt if I was going to hunt down there by myself.
That's cool. You can go back?
Oh yeah, if I can find time to go back again, yeah, I'm definitely, and I'm going to go back for longer. A week was not enough, but like, hunting's sweet, but the culture down there is different. The food's way better. Like, I have a photo. I don't know. You grab an ingredient thing and flip it over here in the States, and you have a paragraph and a half to read. Over there, you flip it over, and it's like 3 or 4 things, and that's it. And it's like, holy crap. Like the orange juice and stuff, like you flipped over, it said 4 to 5 freshly squeezed oranges, nothing else. Literally, word for word was nothing else. You don't see that when you come here to the States. You got all this other stuff and byproduct and coloring, flavoring, and sweeteners. It's like, so yeah, the food over there is amazing. The culture is different. It'd be cool to just get out and explore. And the fishing's unreal. So you have to get
people like helicopter in just to go fishing in some of those spots.
Yeah, we ran into some people that were helicoptering in just to go fly fish, and I was like, really? And they're like, dude, the brown trout fishing is insane in here.
Yeah. That's wild, dude. That's so cool. I'm going for sure someday. Bringing my bow down there for like 2 weeks or something like that.
You're gonna want longer than 2 weeks. If I was,
I know, I'm sure.
Honest, I was gonna do it again, I probably wouldn't book less than 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's gonna go by fast. I do a week of hunting, and it'd be like a hard week of hunting, and then I would do some fishing and then sightseeing. Just get out there, kind of go around,
see some stuff. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah. Dang, dude, we're going to plan a trip now. Go down there.
Oh, we'll all go down.
It'd be freaking fun. It'd be so cool.
The flight, dude, oh man, that flight is rough. I won't lie.
Oh, yeah. How long is it?
I want to say it was 14 hours on the way there and 13 hours on the way back. That's just from LA to there. So if you have any connecting flights, that's going to be a rough thing. And for booking flights, if you look at it, there's like Air New Zealand and all this other stuff that will like go straight there and straight back. But a lot of people, I don't know if they know this, when you get onto your flight there, it's like if you go to the South Islands, we flew into the North Island, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to go through customs and everything there, grab your stuff, and then go to a domestic travel airport and then fly to your other spot. But if you do like these Air New Zealands and all this other stuff that goes straight into there, what happens is you end up paying almost double for your flight. Like we just booked with American Airlines, and it was literally half the price. And then we just flew straight in, had a layover in Queenstown, and then flew to Auckland. Flew into Auckland and down to Queenstown. But yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. So save you some money if you're doing it that way.
Yeah, American Airlines is awesome. Don't book a window seat. You will hate your life if you book a window seat. You need to get up and stretch at some point. So either do middle, so when that person leaves, you can get up too, or do aisle so you can stretch around. Because
I've been on some of those long flights, and it's tough. They're they suck.
Yeah.
All right, real quick, I wanted to jump in here and tell you about the discount code with the podcast. So if you use the code podcast15, all capitals, no spaces, on the website. You can actually get 15% off anything on the website, Bino visors or hoodies. And we have actually 3 different hoodies listed on the website right now. I have a bunch in stock, and then I've got a ton of Bino visors in stock as well. So use the code podcast15, save yourself some money. This is how I support myself right now, is making money off of some of these products that I've got. And so thank you all for the support. And if you haven't got a visor yet, go check those out. They literally will save your hunt if you're shooting or glassing into the sun. So thanks, you guys. Let's get back to this episode. Let's talk about kind of like the creative side of this trip, because you brought what's his name with you? Yeah, Jake. You brought Jake with you. I think I met Jake once, but it's been a while. You brought Jake. How did all that work out? Really, like, what were you guys trying to capture? What was like? Yeah, just tell me all about that.
Yeah, so when I found out I won the hunt, as I mentioned in the beginning, I wanted to get some companies on board and say, hey, this is a great opportunity for us to go out here and get content that you don't get every day. And if you think about it, when most people go to somebody, they're like, hey, I got a hunt, I'm going to need it paid for too, and travel and all this. So like when you're getting companies on board, already having a hunt covered was a huge selling point. And when we got out there, we knew the weather was going to be kind of variable weather. We knew conditions out there are pretty rugged if you look at the terrain and everything that you have going on. So reached out and we got some new products that will be coming out later this year for King's Camo and stuff that we were out there doing. And Jake works directly with King's. So nice. He was my cameraman and videographer while we were out there, and we were just getting as much content as we can for all these new release products that will be coming out. And then we also got to put some products to the test, which was the first time I got to be part of something like that. It was like, hey, these are prototypes, test them out, let us know what you think. If they fail, that's better because then we know where we can fix it, kind of thing. So we went out there and we just literally maxed out everything we possibly could in like the most extreme scenario you could possibly think of. Like if normal person would throw on, like 1/4 and a head, we would put 2/4 in the head just to see. Or if we were testing out gear, it's like, oh, the average person's not going to run through this blackberry bush, but you know what? We got to test it. So we're going to run through this blackberry bush and test it. Or, oh, it's hailing and there's a thunderstorm coming. Most people are going to sit in their truck and wait it out. But hey, we got to test out this gear. So let's see what we can do. We just go out there and stand in it and like, oh, hey, it's working. Or, oh, I'm getting wet. This isn't working.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was super fun to be out there and just do all that on the side of also being able to hunt.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
So is there some films coming out from this or content? What's the plan on that?
Yeah, so the whole thing behind this is we're going to be launching it on the King's Camos page. It's going to be on King's YouTube.
Sick.
And cool. It's going to be an awesome video. There's a couple hunts that we filmed this year already with them, and they're all going to kind of drop. I don't know the time frame when they're going to drop yet. I would assume like 2 to 3 months from right now. But there's going to be some hunts dropping and some awesome stories coming out. We're going from hunting goats here in the States to hunting stag over there to a few other hunts here in the States that are going to be dropping. And it's pretty sweet. I'm pretty excited about the whole thing that's going on.
That's cool. That's way cool. Are you obviously like the New Zealand hunt? That was your hunt. You were the one being filmed and hunting. Are some of these other films, are you the hunter as well, or are you just filming some of these, or are they just different people?
Yeah, so it's going to be a lot of different people. I believe Jake was the filmer and videographer for 3 of these hunts, I want to say. 3 of these hunts was Jake. And then I don't know if Jake's elk hunt is going to be in there from Wyoming this year, but I was part of that hunt in the beginning. Then I had to leave, and then he went and hunted Montana, and then they came back and re-hunted Wyoming. You can hunt it like, what is it? If you don't tag out the first half, you can hunt the second half or something like that in Wyoming, which is pretty cool.
Right.
So, yeah, that hunt would be part of that as well if it does drop with that. And I'm thinking it's gonna.
Yeah, so it's a handful of different hunts and stuff. So
yeah, I mean we're going elk to sheep up in the mountains to red stag in New Zealand. It's gonna be everywhere.
Are you working with Kings pretty tight right now?
Yeah. Yep.
Nice.
Working with Kings pretty tight right now.
Yeah,
they're awesome. Justice is awesome. Andrew's awesome. Yeah, those guys. I really like what they do as far as making sure that it's like, hey, they want. I mean, obviously the company wants to grow too, but they're like, we're not going to grow too big that we can't work with you, and we want to grow with you and you with us kind of thing. So it's kind of more of a family thing, more or less, than an individual thing, which is just super nice to be a part of something like that.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Cool, dude. Um, let's talk about. Tell me about just for like people who maybe are trying to get into the industry on the creative side, or they're already in the industry but they're trying to like to kind of get their base set a little bit, you know, like start making some money. Like, what is your what does it look like for you right now in the industry? And obviously, like, talk about having a job too, because for some people like me and you, it's like it doesn't make all the money, right? Being a
Yeah.
creative in the industry doesn't make everything. So yeah, just like tell me your perspective right now, where you're at, and then I do want to talk about kind of like where you want to take it to.
Yeah, most definitely. So I don't know if anybody's listening now who hasn't heard before, but I work for the Department of Homeland Security currently. So my 9 to 5 is fairly busy. I get 2 days off a week, and then everything else I do on the free time is my personal leave that I take, or I work what we call comp time, which is overtime basically, but switches to days off instead of getting paid for overtime. So I try to save up as much time as I can throughout the year so that when season comes around, I can actually get out there and run around with the camera. For me personally, it comes down to, all right, here's what I got hunt wise for myself, and here's other guys who have hunts too. So if I can go out and chase elk because I have an elk tag in my pocket and I have the time to do it, then I'm gonna go do that. To be honest with you, in the last 5 years, I haven't had time. So since I haven't had time and I haven't drawn a tag to do that, on the flip side, I don't want to miss September. So I take the time that I had set aside for that and I go out and I film other guys during September or whatever hunts they may have so that I can still be out there in the mountains and be running around and getting out there because you only get so many Septembers in your life. You can't miss those.
Oh,
They're,
for
uh,
sure.
they're so amazing. But yeah, so I set aside time. I do all that. I know a lot of people look at my Instagram and they're like, wow, this guy just hunts and fishes all the time. But literally, I mean, like I told you in the beginning of this video here, I woke up this morning, ran out and took photos. And it's like just in between my day when I got time, I try to do stuff and then I grind on the side. Unfortunately, right now, I don't have the time to do video edits like yourself and Kobe and a few of these other guys like Jake. Like I don't have the time to sit down because my job takes so much from me during the week. And I want to get to that point where I can do that. But for now, I'm doing just product photography, a little bit of like reels and videos here and there. And it's something when I started out with, I started it just because it's stuff I use and I'm passionate about using it and I have a following. So I'm just like, hey guys, like this is what I use, this is why I use it. I'm not sponsored by anybody right now. And here's what I'm doing. And if you guys are interested, I can give you information on why I do it and my reasons behind it. And I've done some product testing too in there. So when I started out, like I said, everything was free. And from there, eventually you get underneath the spotlight or somebody shares something, somebody recognizes it, and they're like, hey, you know what? We'll send you this if you don't mind doing a little bit of product. And that's like product photography on the side. And that's where your foot starts. Like your foot's in the door as soon as one company trusts you with a product to take photos. And that's when you got to make sure that like, all right, now you got to shine, right? You got to make sure you get your photos, make sure you get the deliverables. At that point, it's okay to do a little bit extra because then they can weed through it themselves. But do the stuff for free, put in the work for free because that's going to be the grind. Like this is where people get lost. I feel like they get the stuff for free, they take it, they run with it, and they're like, but it's not really what I wanted, and then they just kind of forget that company. But the problem is companies talk. I mean, you know that networking in this community is huge. So when companies are talking, they'll mention that, and then your name becomes nothing to anybody else. So if you really want to get to where we are or even higher status, like you got to do the free stuff. You got to put in the time there. Show that you're worth it. From there, then people will recognize that, hey, you're doing this. And once you start getting to a certain point, then you can be like, hey, these edits and this takes my time. Can we work out a contract where this many reels, this many edits a month, and you go from there and you'll work with a company, or a company may reach out to you and say, hey, we'd like to sign a contract with you if you're okay with working with us, and you go from there. And then it's like steps. You hit each step and you go up, and then eventually you're working with a company and brands that you love and trust and doing things you never thought you'd be doing.
I totally agree with you. I mean, that's how like everyone I know who's doing it right now kind of started. Like there's a point where you do kind of have to just like get your foot in the door somewhere and like do some free work. But then you got to understand that you can't do free work forever if you actually want to make a career and make money off it. There is a point where you do need to have that conversation of like, I need to start making money with this, but it might not be a lot at first. And, but you gotta start somewhere. Right. And so just like you're saying, like you got to get that experience, get those reps in, show a company that you're worth investing in. And then you can start making those relationships stronger and make some money at it.
Yeah, and the word that you said there that stands out to me the most is it's a relationship. Like if you're going to be that one person that you hear somebody say, "Hey, I want you to shoot my product," you're like, "Oh, I don't really like that product, but whatever." You just kind of shoot some photos and you do it, and then next month you're off with another company. Like that's also going to like just burn your name in the industry. Like just find a company, stick with a company. If they have faith in you, that's all that matters. Like stick with them, build up. Eventually, yeah, I mean, you might outgrow them or outgrow the budget that they can provide for you, and then you go on to somebody else. But that at that point, like you proved yourself, you put in your time and your effort, built the relationship, and then going on, it's not going to look bad. It's not going to be bad. It's like we understand, like we can't support what you need or what you're asking of us, so it makes sense.
Yeah. And when you're working kind of like how we do, where it's like everything's like remote pretty much. These companies are, it could be anywhere, and we're out doing our own thing. It's really easy to just kind of forget it, or if you're like, well, this brand isn't really doing like working out how I wanted it to. It's easy just to like kind of like almost ghost them, or like just like, all right, like I'm just not gonna talk to them anymore. But that can be really harmful to just your yourself, right? Your reputation. But if things aren't working out, just communicate, talk to people, like have a phone call, and just having that conversation. Maybe things just aren't working out, and that's okay. If you talk to them, and they'll probably understand, and it's gonna work out way better than if you just like forget about them and not talk to them anymore, right? And
Yeah.
that's I've seen that, like that's a really big thing that I try to keep in mind, is like just having a really good communication with all the brands I work with, and trying to stay in touch with them as much as I can. And if something's not working out, just talk to them. Don't just leave them hanging, because that's where your reputation can get hurt. Most of the time, they're going to understand if you have another offer from someone or something that might just be better for you. The brand's going to understand, and that you can still keep a good relationship.
Exactly.
You just have to have the communication.
Yeah, and the communication, the relationship. Another thing is like you never know what's going to happen to that company in the future. The marketing manager for that company may take a job for another company that now you're working with, and if you didn't do great with that first time around, and he's like, "Oh, I've seen this name. I've seen HUBBS before. You know what? He did this last time," and then you're like, "Well, crap." Like and now you're trying to like scramble to do something. It's like, nah. If you just like you said, shoot everybody straight in the beginning, build that relationship, be honest and upfront, it works. And I'm not gonna lie, I've straight up told companies, hey, I'm sorry, I just don't have the time for what you're asking of me. Maybe when I move or get like slowed down a little bit, I can do this for you. But right now, like I'm sorry, I just don't have the time. And they've always been completely understanding. Most of them are like, hey, we completely understand. You know what? Keep that for now. You're good. If you can, just get what you can when you can, or they're like, hey, yeah, you know what? If you can send it back, awesome. And I'll send it back because it's part of that relationship and communication thing. Like it just builds trust.
Yeah, that's good, dude. Um, is there anything else you want to cover on that topic? I want to kind of talk about just your fall season and how it went, but we can finish up.
You did say, where do I want to be or where do I see myself?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, to get on that. So this year, I've got some big changes coming. I should be moving to Idaho as long as everything works out. I'll be moving
Dude,
to
no
northern
way.
Idaho. Yeah, so I'm
I
super
didn't
stoked
know
about
that.
that. I'm born and raised right up in that area, so I'll actually be like, I think it was 45 minutes from my house that I was like just a toddler running around in. So
Nice.
that'll be sweet. Going back home. The nice thing about that, I won't be in a desert where it's just summer all the time, and there's where I want to take my photography and content creation for these outdoor brands. That's where I want to take it to the next level, because down here I have to drive 2-3 hours just to get to the mountains to make content for people on my weekends. And that's going there, not coming back. It's a 6-hour drive if we're counting both ways. There I can
Yeah.
walk out my back door and create content. So I should have the time and the seasons to be able to do it, because you look at these companies and they're like, yo, I can't post summertime photos in midwinter. And I'm like, yeah, palm trees aren't the best. I get it. Like, but it's all I have to work with. And so, yeah, it'll be nice to have the seasons and everything else and go up there. And then I want to dive more into the video side of things and get more into editing and building timelines and getting all that done. I should have more free time and the job shouldn't be as busy. So that's kind of my hope there.
Nice. Dude, that's cool. Well, we got to go on some hunts then. Now,
Dude,
since you're going to be at Idaho freaking
we'll be a
resident,
lot
dude.
closer. Yeah.
Yeah. That'll be good. Yeah,
Yep.
we got to work some stuff out with that, because we could kind of meet in the middle. There's some good country in there. So,
Oh, for sure. We could hit the Frank Church and have a real good time.
yeah, that'd be fun. Cool, dude. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Okay, last topic that I wanted to cover. I forgot what it was now.
You're talking about fall seasons.
Oh yeah, that's right. So you killed your first elk this year with your bow, right? Was it your first one?
So that wasn't with a bow. It was a rifle. First
Okay,
Arizona
right.
bull. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
And
I knew it was something like that. So cool.
yeah, that hunt, the hunt itself is a good hunt. It's something that I was pretty excited about. It's pretty limited entry, I would say. It's the success rate there is like less than 1%. It's if the elk are
Wow.
there, they're there. If they're not there, they're not there, kind of thing. And it's like you got a very narrow window to make it happen. So it was pretty cool. You know, I got on Onyx. I did some e-scouting, and what's funny is Eric Chesser had the same tag, and we were in New Mexico, and we were talking on his hunt. I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm gonna hunt this unit, and I've got this tag, and he's like, dude, I have the same tag. Like, I'm going to hunt this side of the unit. And I was like, well, I'm going to hunt this side of the unit. And we are kind of talking about each other's strategy because, I mean, as everybody knows, Eric's a freaking elk wizard. I mean, this guy knows where elk are at all the time. So when he was talking about it, he got me thinking, like, maybe I'd go there, maybe not. I was, like, kind of questioning my e-scouting. But he said, hey, no, I mean, like, what you're saying and what you're looking at looks pretty good. And I had spent some time in there the season prior, kind of knew, like, I had seen sign in there. So I knew that hopefully they were going to be there this year. Come out to it day one, right? Day one, we get out there. I'm with my buddy. Not a sign, not hoop, not tracks, not anything. And I was like, well, we messed up. Like we spent, what was it? I think we spent 11 hours and hiked like 18 miles and we didn't see anything. It was completely dead. I think we saw one coos deer and like 2 birds. I was like, dude. So we got back to camp and I was like, dude, we're going to have to move to the other side of the unit. But I was like, before we go, I want to check this one spot we didn't make it to. There's like a huge canyon, right? And we didn't make it to the other side of the canyon, which is more of a plateau. And then it's got like little draws in it. It's like, let's just go check out the top half. Like maybe the weather hasn't come yet. Maybe it hasn't pushed anything out of there. And we'll go over there. So we went in there early in the morning and we're actually running a little late. Get into where we need to be. We'll start hiking up this ridge. We'll make it maybe 200-300 yards, and there's like 5-year-old elk sign, right? And I'm like, okay, well, this is a bonus, right? Like
Something.
there's something. And then get up a little further, and the sign gets fresher and fresher and fresher as we're going up the ridge. And I'm like, all right, sweet. Get in there. We find fresh elk poop. Like I'm like, dude, this is like yesterday. Like this is fresh. And then there's rubs, and I'm like, dude, like these aren't old rubs. Like everything out here in Arizona dries out so fast, so you can tell an old rub pretty quick. And I'm like, these like everything's like a week old. Granted, the hunt had already been going for a week, so I didn't know if anybody had been in there. We're walking
Right.
around, glassing, and it's thick, real thick. Like if you don't shoot from where you see the elk at, if you try to get closer, you're gonna lose sight of the elk. 100%
Yeah.
guaranteed it's gonna be gone. So we get in there. I have my buddy Ruben. He's glassing off of one side of the canyon, and I'm on the back side glassing these. I'm glassing the shade side. He's glassing the sun side. Next thing I know, I get a phone call, and he's like, "Hey, I got a bull." I'm like, "No way!" So I come running over. Sure, there's a bull sitting there at 420 yards, and I let the old 7M PRC eat, and that's all she
Nice.
wrote. 2 shots. First shot was great. Second shot was just because it's so thick in there. I didn't want him to run or move. I just wanted to anchor him right there. So we put another one in him, went straight down, got up there, and that was my first and so far only Arizona bull that I've been able to go out and hunt myself.
That's awesome, dude. That's so cool. And you've killed bulls other places?
Yeah. It's
Cool.
been mostly Oregon that I've got them in, and then I've been a part of a lot of hunts with other people.
Yeah.
Multiple states.
Nice. Dude, Arizona's super cool. I've never hunted it, but I want to. I'm going to because like I have family down there now. My wife's family's from down there. So I'm gonna try and get some tags down there over the next few years and just try it out. It's different. Totally different than up here. Like just the hunting in general, the style of hunting is like quite a bit different. So
I'll have to give you some units that I think have bigger bulls than most people realize and better draw odds than all the other units that have the same caliber bulls in them. But there's some units out here that we've hunted. For instance, my buddy Ruben, if you go on my Instagram feed, he's the one who shot the bull with archery equipment, right? That was his first archery bull, and that was just before my hunt. And that hunt, he's drawn 2 or 3 years in a row now. The first year was a learning curve and a half for us. The second year, I was there for like a few days, and then I was unable to help him out because I had to go do some other stuff. And when I came back, the hunt was over. And it's very much so you have to have a spotter. You have to have somebody up high glassing for you, and then you got to work in. It's a 2-person job to get those out killed, but when it works out, it works out. And on his hunt, dude, on his hunt, he's new to hunting, right? And he's hunted, but not in the style like we hunt. The backcountry, getting in there, getting deep, going after them. That's a new thing for him. And he's like, this took his hunting from like 50% to 100%. And that archery style was like 100% new. So we dive in there and I'm like, hey, do this, do that. And like, I think if you go over here, you'll see the bull, and we're going to go over here and glass down this other side for you just in case he's on your side of this cut. Dude, he gets in there. I glass him up, and I'm watching my buddy. He's like pulling up with his binos, coming up over this rock, right? And then he just like drops straight down. And I'm like, I get on the radio. I'm like, what is it? He's like, the bull's straight up, and the radio cuts out, dies. And I'm like, oh, dude. No. Like, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I'm trying to get him on the radio. It's not working. I'm trying to use my phone. Phone's not working. And all I heard was the bull straight, and it just cut out. So I was assuming it was straight across from him because I couldn't see below him. And I was like, man, hopefully he plays the win. And I was like, I know he's excited. I'm hoping he just plays the win. He backs out, comes around, gets the win right, comes in on the bull. And as we're sitting there, I lose sight of him on this rock. And there's a little saddle back uphill from him. And then downhill is where I think the bull is. And we're sitting there, and I'm sitting with his brother. And I'm like, dude, do you see anything? Like, can you see him? Do you see the bull? Nothing, right? And next thing you know, this bull blows up in the bottom and starts running out. And I'm like, oh, he busted. It's game over. Like I have a video of me filming the bull running up the canyon, and I'm like, it's done. And then next thing you know, this bull just takes a hard 90, runs right into a bush and falls over. And I was like, what the heck?
Like,
and
no way.
I look in the video, and you can see him sitting down underneath the tree, and that bull was running straight at him at 20 yards. He ends up pinwheeling him, and then the bull just runs another 30 yards and just piled up. And I was like, dude, your brother just killed a bull. He's like, no way. Are you serious? I'm like, no, he just killed a bull.
That's so cool.
That's a unit I would definitely recommend for you, and I'll have to send it to you here later.
Yeah, nice. We'll have to talk about it. The draw's over, I think, for this year, right? But we got next year, so heck yeah, dude. That's so cool. Good.
Yeah, it's a good unit.
Well, good, dude. Well, let's wrap it up. We can stay on chat for a second, but thanks for coming on.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we'll do it again sometime.
Most definitely.
Dude. Okay, we'll see you guys next week.